trust you will listen to what I am saying because it is meant with nothing but love and affection and sympathy for you as you have to traverse and navigate and perambulate this horrible world of ours now. Because you are living through a moment most people will only understand years from now, when it's too late, when it's beyond comprehension, when it's too late to do anything about it. Right now, it feels like noise, chaos, endless arguments. But if you step back for 1 second and you look at the pattern, you look at what's going on, you look at the direction, you look at the consistency of confusion, that, my friend, is not accidental. Nay. This is not about one story or one controversy or one person or one personality or one political party. This is about something far bigger, something far more complex, okay? The slow conditioning of a population. I know that sounds, I know you think, what? No. The slow conditioning, the habituation, the acclimation of a population to doubt its own instincts and to argue with itself, because that's what we're doing a lot of times. We're arguing among ourselves for reasons I just don't understand. To lose focus on what actually matters. See, that's the game. That's their game. And it's been played before. And I can't say it enough. We're going to lose unless we change the way we change our evil ways, as Carlos Santana intoned. Now, call it what you want. Call it psyops, psychological operations, narrative shaping, cognitive dissonance, influence campaigns. The technical term is menticide, brainwashing, the systematic destruction of a mind's ability to think clearly, not through force, not through kind of any kind of pressure, but through overload, too much information, too many angles, too many contradictions, not enough verisimilitudes and enough of these seemingly this nonsensical gibberish. Eventually people give up trying to make sense of it. You can't. Do not give up, but keep focusing. And that is the point of all this. That's as we say in law, the gravamen, like the point of this. Now, you've heard about MK Ultra. Most people treat it like a relic, something buried in the past, something that involves drugs, or psychedelics. No, not really. The lesson was never about what happened back then. The lesson was what is possible. See, if institutions once explored, if they once explored ways to influence perception and behavior and belief, do you really think those capabilities vanished? Or did they evolve? Did they become more consistent with the particular vagaries and realities of today? See, that's the thing to understand. Now, add modern tools, big tech platforms that track behavior down to the second, algorithms that learn what triggers you, what angers you, what focuses you, what distracts you, what keeps you engaged. AI systems that can generate narratives, amplify forces, that can bury others and create the illusion of consensus. You do not need crude propaganda anymore. Not anymore. This Big Brother, this Orwellian dystopian stuff is nonsense. You can tailor reality to each individual specifically. I can hand deliver to you your own pathway to destruction. And this is where people get lost. See, they think control looks like force. It doesn't. Control looks like choice, endless choice. You're free. You're free to scroll, free to argue, free to react. Nobody's confining you to this. But every option is inside a system that is shaping what you see. That's the catch. The Overton window, alas, the Overton window does not slam shut. It slides slowly, quietly. What was once unthinkable becomes debatable, and what was debatable becomes acceptable. And what was acceptable now becomes unquestionable, inerrant, absolute. And if you are not paying attention, which many of us aren't, by virtue of the fact, not because we're stupid, but because we're busy, you wake up one day and guess what? You realize that the boundaries moved without you and without you noticing. How does that happen? How in the hell does that happen? Simple. Through distraction, through division, through making sure you're constantly focused on each other instead of the structure above you. I've seen it happen. I've seen people talk more about the individuals who are the participants in an argument than the argument itself, than the issue itself. You may not like a politician. You may think, well, this guy or this side, they're wrong. And you might not particularly care for the person who's advancing something which may in fact be true. So you argue about that person. And you always suspect, oh, these people are compromised. Wake up. No. This guy, be careful. Forget the person. It's the idea. Forget who's saying it. But we make it personal. Oh, come on, this is a dog and pony show. This is a sleight of hand. This is intellectual prestidigitation. Don't listen to her or him. They're not the ones. Look at their past. Who cares? When I hear that, I'm saying, we're getting off target here. It's not about individuals. It's about the concept. Look around you. People are at each other's throats over personalities, over labels, over looks, over narratives and looks and everything that change by the week. That's not coincidence in the least. That is a feature, because as long as you are fighting horizontally, you're not looking vertically. You see? You're not looking deeper. And that brings us to something older than any algorithm, the Hegelian dialectic. Oh my God. Problem, reaction, solution. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Create or amplify a problem, provoke a reaction, then offer a solution that expands control. It's not always scripted in a neat, cinematic way, but the pattern repeats itself repeatedly without variation. Crisis emerges, fear spreads, people demand action, and then, let me add another layer, we turn on each other. It's like that Twilight Zone, Elm Street, where he's the Martian. No, you're the alien. No, you are. What are we doing? They always want to make it about us. That's why they want to keep persisting these persistent arguments about race and gender and sexual this and they want us clawing at each other for something or another, when in fact we're not the problem, they're the problem. And in that moment and in those moments, powers consolidate. New rules, new systems, new oversight, always justified, always temporary, except temporary has a way of becoming permanent. Drat. And that's true. Now layer in the modern structure. Oh, and you have what many call a deep state, a police state, an intel state, a shadow government. But if you strip away the buzzwords and look at the mechanics of it, it's simple. Networks of influence that outlast elections, intelligence communities, intel states with long memories and long reach, bureaucratic systems and organizations and structures that operate regardless of who's in charge. Remember, the left-right paradigm, two sides of the same coin. Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. This is nonsense. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. The marching. As I record this today in New York City, we have these huge No Kings march. I will say this. Whoever these people are, whatever they want, they get out. It's a nasty, cold day today, pretty much. But they're out there with their signs, chanting the incoherent, but nonetheless they're there. And what do other factions do? What are the ones with the power? They have meetings. And they have organizational meetings and political action committees where they sit around and pat each other in the back and tell each other how great they are, to the exclusion of the rest of the world, not seeking inclusion, but verification. See? It's incredible. I've been watching this for so long and it never changes. Bureaucratic systems and these folks will always operate regardless of who's in charge, on paper or theoretically or otherwise. And add to that a kind of a corporate layer, massive technology companies that control, and I mean really control communication and thought and visibility and access to information and the ability to process and decipher and decode. This is not a cartoon villain scenario. It's a I guess you call it maybe a convergence of power. I always think in terms of vectors, like movements. It's a convergence. Government, corporate, technological. That's technically the definition of fascism. But that's for another story. But it's true. Fascism is not what you think. Fascism is not about totalitarian. Fascism is not control. Communism is not about control. Marxism, it's not about controlling you and limiting your speech. Yeah, it's control to an extent. But there's a perception of government. And it's the blueprint of the illusion. And each of them, by the way, reinforces the other. But I'll get to that later. I don't want to get too much off this. And then AI. And when you hear AGI, that's it, my friends. Singularity is here. Oh, my God. Alignment, prayer to pray to God. When AI hits, we saw this event the other night. It was very interesting. The documentary is called The AI Doc, or How I Became an Apocalyptimist. It's very nice. It was good. It missed the point tremendously, but at least they were trying. They're trying something. Because AI and AGI will be the end. I mean, it could be. It could not be the end. But it's up to that to decide. It's up to it and them and they. Whatever it and them and they are. Right now, it feels kind of like a tool. You know, it's helpful, it's efficient, it's impressive. It's ChatGPT. Oh, look at this. But think about where this goes. Systems can process every piece of data that you generate, every post, every thought, every movement, every purchase, every interaction. Systems, in essence, for lack of a better word, that can predict behavior and influence decisions and shape outcomes before you even realize it or aware of it or are cognizant of it. Oh my God. And by the way, this isn't science fiction. Don't ever say science fiction anymore. That word doesn't even apply. Science fiction is science fiction. This is trajectory. This is the arc. Okay? So what is the real challenge here? Listen to me. What's the real challenge? It's not at all just uncovering facts. No. It's maintaining clarity. Clarity in an environment designed to erode it. It is your resisting the pull to turn on each other. Stop arguing with each other. Stop arguing with citizens. We, you are not the enemy. We are not the enemy. We're the army. We're the ones who are going to pick up this mess when these bastards fail. We're the ones. We're not the enemy. Okay? You are your brother's keeper, though he may be strong or weak. I think the Four Tops said it best. I'm telling you, it is recognizing when outrage is being manufactured and when division and scorn and enmity are being amplified and directed towards each other. Because here is the trap. If you spend all your time arguing with people who are just as confused as you are, and I'm sorry, it's true, you're doing someone else's work for them. Okay? Who is the enemy? And pick the hill you want to die on. You see, the real power structure doesn't need you to agree with it, doesn't care. It just needs you distracted. Your attention diverted. Like when you go to a bull riding. The barrel man, the clown gets inside. A cowboy falls off the bull. Here comes a bull to charge, and here comes a rodeo clown. I'm over here, distracting. That distraction saves your life. See, that's what it's about. I used to love to watch sleight of hand. I love it. Remember, everything it's in front of you, but they learn neurologically how to distract your attention, and that is where discipline comes in. You have to ask better questions. You really have to. This is up to you. Not just what's happening, but why is it being presented this way, and who benefits from this narrative? Cui bono, qui prodest. Don't forget the duality of those particular terms. Why this framing? Why this amplification? Why this attempt at trying to manufacture clarity? You have got to be willing to sit with uncertainty instead of rushing to this false narrative of the nearest explanation. Because premature certainty is guaranteed to be one of the easiest ways to be manipulated. Always ask why. And never, ever, 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 ever believe at first blush anything the government or the media tell you. Think of it only as a suggestion of what they want you ultimately to believe. You also have to recognize patterns, repetition, messaging that appears across different platforms at the same time, simultaneously. Language that feels coordinated, language that feels almost staid, projected, narratives that emerge fully formed. And if they were waiting in the wings, that is the perception they want. That you're just sitting there waiting, come on, waiting for you to see their way. See, that doesn't mean every pattern is a conspiracy, please. And use the word conspiracy correctly. Conspiracy doesn't mean something that's crazy. It means two or more people involved in some type of a nefarious confederation. I've said this a million times. I'm getting tired of it. It means some patterns are not organic. We argue all the time, is there such thing as coincidence? Maybe, probably not. And here's the part that matters most, especially for younger people. You are the most connected generation in history. Congratulations. You have access to more information than any group ever before you. And the group after you, those little babies in the carriages, they're going to make you look like Green Acres. Ask your parents. But that also means you are the most targeted. Your attention, and your attention span, by the way, are the commodity. Your perception is the battleground. What they want your hopes and dreams, and they want you, they just want you, they really don't even want your heart and soul, just your attention. And if you lose the inability, or excuse me, if you lose the ability to think independently, to question, to step outside the stream, if that happens, then none of the access matters. So, what do? Good. First, stop assuming that everything is random. Not everything is orchestrated, but not everything is accidental either. Be able to play with the duality of both. Next, stop fighting each other as the default. Disagreement is fine. Disagreement is good. Debate is healthy. Yes. But constant internal and infernal conflict drains energy and focus. And it also misdirects you as to who the enemy is. Next, start documenting. Save information, archive sources, pay attention to timelines. Because memory is short, but records last. Can't say that enough. Historicity, my friends. And don't forget what Tolstoy said, history would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. Next, learn how systems work. Not just politics, but technology and media and incentives. Once you understand, once you grasp incentives, you start to understand behavior. Next, above all, stay grounded. Fear is a tool. Panic is a tool. If you're overwhelmed, if you're anxious, if you're always scared, you are easier to steer. That is by design. And finally, do not check out. That is the end game. That is the end game of all of this. Not control through force, but control through apathy. I give up. I can't take this. If enough people decide it's too complicated, too scary, too exhausting, too unclear, then the system doesn't need to convince you of anything. It just needs you to stop paying attention. That's all. Stultification. Stunned. Don't give it that. Stay alert. Stay curious. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay positive. Don't lose. The fight is fun because the future is not just being built around you. It's being shaped through what you choose to see and to question and challenge. That's what's critical. And by the way, if you remember nothing else, remember this. The real divide is not between you and your neighbor. I say it again. It is between those who are paying attention and those who are being guided without realizing it. Choose your side carefully. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't give in the fight. Focus, okay? Focus. This is the greatest time ever. Greatest. Wonderful things. Wonderful things are on the horizon. But don't kid yourself. If you don't pay attention, you don't know what happens next.